one of the most important things that Trump wants to bring back to the country is aluminum production. Aluminum production is so incredibly important in our country. Let's take a look at this video from CNBC about aluminum production. Let's put it on the big screen for you. Here we go. Let's go. Hit play.
Largest importer of raw aluminum, but the country lacks the capacity to produce enough aluminum to meet its own needs.
A couple decades ago, we had 30 aluminum smelters around the nation. Today we have 4.
We had 30 aluminum production facilities. Now we're down to 4.
And that drop is almost inconceivable, and it's dangerous.
The Trump administration believes this problem could be...
It is dangerous for a lot of reasons, not only economically, but also for our national defense, which we're going to talk about in a minute.
Solved with tariffs.
And I have also imposed a 25% tariff on foreign aluminum, copper, lumber, and steel.
A tariff is a tax, quite simply. It's a tax that's paid by an importer. So when a product crosses the border, it's paid at the port of entry by the person who's paying to bring that good into the country.
Any analysis of the consumer impact depends on what the president commits to as negotiations unfold.
This one's interesting because he's building on something that he started in his first term. They want those materials to be manufactured inside the U.S.
That's right, with the jobs that come along with that.
Bringing some of this activity back to the states could be costly.
If you think AI is power intensive, aluminum's a whole different world. It is 6 times more power intensive than AI data centers.
Right, but how costly is it to have your country be dependent upon imported aluminum? That is also very costly, again, economically and from a military perspective.
I think it's going to be much harder for these firms to absorb the price increases.
So, will aluminum production move back to the U.S.? And how will that affect the prices that Americans pay?
Understand that's a very long game, because to build a new smelter for aluminum might take several years, 5, 6, 7, 8 years to actually get a smelter up and running. So we went from 30 to 4, and to, go from 4 to 10, that might take a long time. So you have to start, whenever you're looking at a long-term project, the earlier you start, the better.
Americans use a lot of aluminum. The U.S. threw away 61 billion cans in 2024, enough to average 15 12-packs per person.
Sorry about that. 15, 12 packs per person. Oh, that's a lot of Diet Coke. I don't drink beer anymore, but that's a lot of Diet Coke. I might be slightly guilty.
In the same year, 46 billion cans were recycled.
80% of the aluminum we use in the United States every year is recycled aluminum.
Well, that's probably good. 80% of the aluminum we use every year is recycled. Good for us.
So we're the world's leader in recycling aluminum, and we want to remain so.
But the metal has many applications beyond the kitchen.
I have a hamburger
Aluminum
today.
is all around us, and we don't even know it.
For example, as much as 80% of an aircraft's content is made of aluminum. The metal is also a very effective conduit for electricity.
I don't know if you know this, but back in the olden days with knob and tube construction, when electricity was first installed in houses, the aluminum was used as the conduit to instead of copper to transport the electricity through the house. Very dangerous nowadays, especially if it's not. It was air cooled. It was like a air cooled system, but if you put insulation on it, it can light on fire. Very, very dangerous, and that's why we've now moved to insulated copper wire.
Making it a top choice for long distance.
But if it's way up in the sky like this, obviously it's air cooled, not a problem.
Transmission lines.
It really is the magic metal. It put men on the moon. It put satellites in space. So for our energy infrastructure, for our transportation infrastructure, for almost every national defense application, you have to use aluminum. So it really is a critical mineral.
There are
all right, so I want to just stop it right there. One of the other Trump goals, and this is where we're going to kind of put 2 and 2 together here, has been Greenland. Or Greenland. Why? Why Greenland? 2 things about Greenland, at least. One is its strategic position in the North Atlantic shipping lanes, which is incredibly important when you look at the position. We also already have a military base there, and so that's a very important position for the future decades or hundreds of years in the future battle for supremacy in the sky. Plus, the Arctic Circle is basically next door, right? So all of those things you probably already knew by looking at the map. The thing is, one of the other very, very important aspects of Greenland is its militarily important and economically important mineral deposits. If you go down on this NPR article, of course, you have to go to the 7th paragraph or whatever to actually get to the important part. Greenland's strategic importance is growing, especially with warming climate. They always have to throw that in there, NPR. Open up to the new Arctic shipping routes. So, if the ice pack does melt, now you have all sorts of new shipping routes out there, and it's quicker to get around the globe because it's the narrow part of the globe, right? So that could be very important if the ice actually melts, which, who knows? Just 950 miles from the North Pole, the U.S. operates the space base up there in Greenland, and it's a key facility for missile defense monitoring. That sounds important. Additionally, Trump has often pointed out Greenland is thought to be rich in rare earth minerals. It's not thought to be rich, and it is rich. U.S. wants access to Greenland's resources to help break U.S. dependency upon China. So, the whole Greenland aluminum China thing, they're all connected. Why do you think he's coming into office and saying, I got to get a hold of Greenland? Because from a big strategic map on the wall, it's super, super important that we no longer be dependent upon China, who's potentially our enemy right now, a frenemy, right? For strategic metals, we have got to cut off our strategic metal dependency upon China, and Greenland's an important key piece in that, which has a near monopoly on some critical elements used in the technology and defense industries. But mining in Greenland is challenging. Okay, it's challenging. Lack of infrastructure, harsh climate, all those things. It's challenging. Okay, well, we're Americans. We'll figure it out, right? We'll figure if it means getting free of China dependency and building wealth for both the United States and Greenland, we'll figure it out. Don't you worry. In the meantime, I do want to, over the holidays, I had the opportunity to watch a couple of movies. One of the movies I watched was The Good Trader. The Good Trader. It's got subcaptions or whatever subtitles, and I want to recommend this because it's about the U.S. ambassador from Denmark during the Second World War and how he basically became the head of state for Denmark in absentia when the Germans invaded Denmark, right? And one of the most important aspects of his relationship with the United States was Greenland, which, if you don't know, Greenland's basically a satellite of Denmark, has been for a long time. And one of the very important reasons why the Roosevelt administration during the Second World War wanted to have control of Greenland was the shipping routes that we just mentioned and the minerals. And apparently, and this was very important during the Second World War, Greenland has some type of additive. I'm not a chemist, so don't ask me. That is very important in the production of aluminum, which was incredibly important for victory in the Second World War to build all those airplane fuselages, which we helped win the war. That apparently also Christine Lagarde forgot that we did that. She doesn't factor that in, that she'd be speaking they'd all be speaking Russian and or German if it wasn't for us, but she forgets that, right? She forgets that. Of course, she does. She forgets that. The importance is that Greenland's a long-term strategic peace. If you ever played Strategia, what was that game when we played when our strategery, like Bush 2 used to say. What was that called? Stratego? I think it was. It's on the tip of my tongue. The strategery. It's a very important strategery piece on the global playing board that you don't really think about, but Trump is thinking about it, fortunately for us. Very, very important.